Hello, everyone, and welcome to the March Desktop Time. We're going to talk a little bit slowly as usual because we have people that are going to start flowing in here over the next few minutes. So welcome. We're glad you could join us. We obviously have a very prestigious panel as we always do today, and so we're going to introduce both Joanne and David to you. And we also have William, which I don't know much about, so we'll talk about him as well in just a moment. As usual, QBox is the sponsor of Desktop Time, although we don't talk about them. There's a sign back there and it's on my shirt. We're going to talk about QBox. We hope this is a forum, though, where we're going to obviously today talk about how AutoEntry integrates with QBO in addition to desktop. And that's really the theme of this forum that we have each month. We're talking about how your QuickBooks Desktop can be more cloud-like, more technology-based, I guess would be the word. So again, we're not going to talk about QBox today. We're going to talk about Desktop Time. So welcome to everyone. Again, people are still filing in. As usual, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our esteemed guests again, starting with Joanne, Joanne, this is right from our website. She is, over the past 10 years, Joanne has used her quirky and fun sense of humor, coupled with her natural talent for teaching, has developed a successful and growing accounting practice. Joanne learned early on the importance of establishing her brand locally as well as online. She taught herself how to sell her services locally by networking and also jumped online to dive deep into the world of social media to promote her practice and her personal brand. Joanne has hundreds of hours of webinars, video courses, books, blogs, and just good old trial and error under her belt while building her online brand. And she's spoken nationally and internationally at conferences, teaching accountants how to grow their brand and authority online. We also are fortunate to have David with us today. Thank you, David, for joining us. And David, most of you know, is an innovative and influential force in the small business accounting world with over 22 years of QuickBooks experience. David has provided many small businesses, accountants, and developers with technical tools, deep industry knowledge, strategy, and solutions. His business sense, vast technical knowledge, and domain expertise can help and bridge the gap between developers, small business owners, and accountants. And his unique style and impressive networks have influenced and helped shape the new generation of accounting professionals. And he also has some other credentials. Most of you probably know he's been named one of the under 40 honorees by CPA Practice Advisor.
When I was younger.
I was going to say, are you still? I'm one of the top 30 under 30 years ago. So current top ranking Avalar's Accounting Top 100, social media leaderboard, 21 plus year career at Intuit, principal technology evangelist at AutoEntry, and president and founder of Sombrero Apps Company, and co-host of the Cloud Accounting Podcast. So you have a lot of credentials also. It was funny, I remember last night, David, you won't remember this, but I remember being at QB Connect in your former life and seeing you come around with a group of people and thinking, who is this guy? He knows nothing about QBox. What's he going to say? And I was immediately very impressed because I know you had your little notes with you, but you did an exceptional job explaining the app. So,
like the walking tour, one of the famous walking tours.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that was 2 or 3 years ago. So anyways, so welcome to both of you. And we're going to start off. Joanne's going to tell us a little bit about her practice and how she's been using social media. And we're going to segue and integrate into our demo of AutoEntry as well. So Joanne, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Do you see how he just did that? How he just did a nice little segue in, and then he just gets off.
That's right. I'm gonna go play golf for an hour.
Yeah, now you can go play. Now you can go off and play. Make your coffee. Yeah, I started my practice in 2007, and what ended up happening with me, and I think this happens with a lot of accountants, is they originally start off and they basically want to work with everyone. They just decide to take on clients that maybe if they knew now what they knew then, they probably wouldn't take them on as clients. And what ends up happening, and because it ended up happening for me, is you got stuck with clients that used so many different softwares, so many different accounting softwares. I think when I first started my accounting practice, there really wasn't a lot of these third-party apps that are out there now in the technology world. But as the years went by, more towards kicking into the 2010, 12, 14, that's when all these third-party applications and stuff came in. And what I started to do over the years of growing my practice is I started realizing the type of clients that I prefer to work with. And so what I've done is I've actually started marketing myself online to those particular accounts, and being able to streamline my practice by using those specific tools and applications for those industries. And I think that's one thing that a lot of accountants are afraid to do, is to try to get their practice down to working with maybe a couple of different industries, or maybe talking about working with one particular type of accounting product, whether it's QuickBooks or whether it's Sage or whether it's Xero. For me, I've stuck strictly with QuickBooks. I attempted to do Xero, and it just didn't work for me particularly, but I'm sure it can be a great fit for a lot of accounts. But I've particularly kept with QuickBooks products online, and I am diehard desktop. I think that's how come Chris and I connected, because he was the answer to my prayers to bring a cloud version of QuickBooks Desktop so I could easily work with my clients online, versus working with an accountant's copy that at times would glitch. The Qbox, and this is no like promo for Qbox, but that's how Chris and I connected, because Qbox was the answer to that solution, and is definitely one of the products that is, you know, in my little bucket technology list that I work with my clients with. So, but yeah, so what I started to do is I found where these clients were, which they're online and they use social media, and particularly the niche clients that I work with right now are in more of a what you would say like a network marketing model for their business. They sell a product to their customers, and they do it all through social media. So it was natural for me to connect with another accountant that I partnered with, and we now admin a Facebook group for these people, and we offer like Q&A support, help for these accounts inside of a private Facebook group. I think we have about 5,000 of these consultants inside of this Facebook group, and we offer webinars. We offer, you know, QuickBooks setups to them. So, you know, even if we just answer a question and keep them engaged in the group, there comes a time where they want to make that move to actually do something for real with their accounting, and that's where they reach out to us as the admins for their for help and support. And that's where I have the ability to say, well, I can help you with QuickBooks. I can help you with tax planning and tax preparation also, you know, because I am an enrolled agent. And so it just became a natural answer for me for lead generation. So on social media, honestly, for my accounting practice, I have totally focused on working, you know, through using like Facebook and Facebook groups for my particular accounting practice. It's not saying that I don't work with people outside of that world, because they do come to me. I still get leads constantly all the time. I get leads through, funny enough, I get leads through a YouTube channel that I have that has nothing to do with accounting. I have like a lifestyle YouTube channel that I just do as a hobby, and people find out what I do because they watch my vlogs. You know, they find out that, you know, oh, I traveled to the UK and I spoke at a conference. Well, why are you speaking at a conference? Well, because I'm an accountant, I do social media. And so then they send me emails and they want one-on-one training. They, you know, oh, can you help me? Can you help me get QuickBooks? I don't know anything about it. Can you help me with training? So that's also become a nice, easy, natural lead pool for me. And it's fun because it has nothing to do with posting about tax regulations and posting about QuickBooks online. I just literally go on and be myself, and people like me for me, And then when they need the help, they remember, oh, Joanne does this, this, and this. Let me email her and get her help. So I guess what I could say for any accountants or bookkeepers who are watching this webinar, my suggestion for you or my plea to you is not to be afraid to be yourself online and to experiment and use social media and see what is going to end up working for you and working to grow your brand. And if something's not working, then try something else.
No, that's great, Joanne. I actually posted in the links because I actually did a talk about going niche before, right? And all the different ideas. And so, like, I posted the slide share in there, and it has a YouTube video if anybody wants to watch that. But it talks about tons of examples of how you can market and talk to whatever niche you're chasing, and such better and more effective ways. Like, you're right. Like, nobody wants to see an Instagram post about a 1099.
No, exactly.
On how to help a brewer be more profitable.
Yeah,
and that
exactly.
Somebody's going to engage with that, but not does everybody know? But just the brewers are going to engage with that, and so that's kind of that fine line. So I did post it there.
And the thing is too, when it comes to niching down your practice, and it's so funny, Chris, that you had us both on this, and we both did presentations on growing a niche accounting practice. But the funny thing is, and it's kind of a no-brainer when you think about it, if you have the majority of your practice honed down to a niche, your processes can become more simplified and easier, and you can be more productive, and you can be more cost effective and therefore more profitable with your business, because you're not doing things 100 million different ways. You know, if you figure out how to work with the brewing companies a specific way, you know exactly how to do it, and that's exactly what you work with, and that's who you market to, and you can get in with those, you know, vendors and get in with those other, you know, doing your research and finding out, okay, who else do brewers work with? You know, what companies do they work with for maybe shipping or something like that? And, you know, you possibly could get in with them on social media to try to get your influence into what they're talking about and getting into those conversations on social media. And so to me, it comes to knowing who your customer is and then figuring out by doing your research what sandbox they play in on social media, and get in that sandbox and start digging around with them. Chris, you're muted.
Oh. I see his lips moving.
His lips are moving. There he goes.
Can you hear me now?
No, I get it.
If you get to know me, by the way, you know I absolutely hate headsets, but my computer's been making these funny noises, even though it's kind of a new laptop. So here I am with my headset now. So because
that's funny.
Allison told me I'm making weird background noises. So anyways, what I was going to say, it's interesting, even for us, we along the way we found all these unique niches that are using QBox, and just based on either their type of business, or even in our case, maybe they don't have the best internet, and so they want to use a resource where they can stay desktop. So so that has also worked for us, and so they're finding from different groups that are, like you said, they're talking about their specific problems related to their industry. They're saying, hey, well, you should check out this QBox thing. And so we've had that same opportunity to grow within certain niches, just based on the demands that other people in that same space have. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So so David, I know you had some feedback too. Has that been your experience with AutoEntry and marketing specifically to certain niches or niches?
Well, I mean, not so much with AutoEntry, because AutoEntry is really for anybody that has bills or paper, right? If you have paper and you have a bookkeeping system, AutoEntry is going to be the right fit for that. But really, for a lot of other apps and a lot of other accountants, I've been really big on this, because the apps that are very clear who they're for. We're an app for breweries. We're an app for, like, Notify is a good example. A lot of people have seen that, right? Like, they're an app for smaller contractors, like kitchen bathroom modelers, not custom home, maybe custom home builders, like small scale, but not tract homes, or not commercial properties, and not skyscrapers, and not bridges, right? And so everybody has to, if they can say who they're for, it just makes everybody's life easier from a purchasing standpoint, right? And then the same thing with accountants, right? Like, how do you pick? You go to the Pro Advisor site, and every Pro Advisor says they do the same 25 things. Like, who do you pick? versus one somebody who, but if you find the one that only has beauty salons and you're a beauty salon, you're going to pick that one person because it's the only thing he or she says she does.
Yep.
And that's kind of the, you know, the way to think about that. But it's important on both sides, on the app side and the
yeah, you build your online brand so that you can become that go-to person for that specific industry, or that you're known for, you know, maybe this industry and this industry. You know, it's kind of like a small business owner wants to, you know, if they look and see 3 or 4 people that do what you do, but you say, well, I'm specific with this. This is all I spend my time working with. You know, I have processes, you know, laid down. They're going to want to work with you. And especially if you have the content out there on social media to back it up, saying, look, here's my YouTube channel. I have a playlist of everything that you need to know about setting up QuickBooks for a beauty salon. Or, you know, setting up your inventory for a brewery, you know, that kind of stuff. Like if you have that stuff available for them to be able to see, it just makes that almost like a no-brainer for them to pick you when it comes to that option. And it also gives you the ability to be able to charge more for your expertise.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would think so. Again, we're in a, so you kind of hit the nail on the head, David, and we deal with that all the time. We deal with, even on the app side, like you said, but I think to their own peril, we do deal with a lot of apps that say, oh, you can use our app with any scenario. So they're, you know, take that contractor reference that you're using. They're saying, oh, okay, well, it's great for, you know, doing remodels. It's great for ground up new builds. It's great, which in most cases they aren't. If they kind of stuck to the specific niche that people have used it for and been successful with, they probably would be more successful in their marketing if they kind of zeroed in on that specific market. And same thing, I'm sure, for financial professionals. If they can speak to the group that they're most familiar with, have the most experience with, and maybe even can take the knowledge from a specific use case or client to that particular prospective client, then there's a lot of value in that. So, and like you said, they probably can actually, you know, charge more for their services because they're an expert in that particular niche.
Exactly.
So they're not.
And that's what I like about the desktops times, because we have the ability during this hour to be able to get a little bit of a peek inside of these different apps that we may not have had access to. Maybe we don't have the need for it yet, but maybe we don't know what purpose it can serve. And it's like, oh, brilliant, I can use this to do this. That's going to make my life so much easier, you know?
Right.
I mean, the day I came across, I can't even remember the software. I want to say it's like, I'm not promoting it by any means, but it's like 2QBO Convert Pro or something like that. The day I found the ability to be able to convert a PDF to a QBO file or a CSV file that I could bring into desktop, it was like life-changing for me. Because my turnaround.
I'm going to one-up that today. I'm going to one-up.
Oh, you are? Okay. I'm all ears. See, I have a notepad and I'm ready. I'm ready, David.
That's good. By the way, all past episodes are recorded on our website. So, but that's very true, and that's really the intent of Desktop Time.
Yeah.
So thank you for that gratuitous plug. So we hope people that are interested or, you know, just curious about certain apps that they can use to really streamline their practice, that they're, you know, taking a look. And so today, again, we're expecting great things from AutoEntry, but you know, whatever the app happens to be, whatever particular need you're trying to fill within your practice,
Exactly.
We hope you can find it here. So that's quite a segue there, David. That was quite a lead into.
David, that was me segueing to you.
Me, okay. I'm going to get my desktop shared here. And while I share, William, if you go off mute for a second, William Ratcliffe's on our team, and I'm going to have him jump in a little bit when we talk more about the QuickBooks Desktop part of it. He doesn't know how to have his camera, so he likes to say he's just a faceless, he's faceless support. So at least he has a voice. So William, if you go off mute and just say hello to everybody while I share my screen, that'd be awesome.
Hey, how's everyone doing?
Hey, William, welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so I should be sharing my screen. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's
People
perfect. I
can
can see it. It looks good.
Awesome. And then any of you along the way, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A panel inside of Zoom, and then at the end, we'll try to leave time to do it. We're looking at, it's about 1:20 now. I'm going to give you the express demo tour of AutoEntry, and then William will really go a little deeper and show you how the desktop integration of QuickBooks Desktop AutoEntry integration kind of works, and the bells and whistles with that. And then we'll leave a lot of time for a Q&A, because I know a lot of you that are on here, sometimes, obviously QuickBooks Online is all the rage, and sometimes I think it's easy for questions for desktop to kind of get lost in the shovel, so it's nice that we have some dedicated time to just talk about QuickBooks Desktop with AutoEntry. So AutoEntry, what is it's helping you do automated data entry for accountants, bookkeepers, and business owners. So essentially, you can stop typing. That's really the goal on this. And my slide is not going forward. There we go. Okay, Chris covered who I am, so I'll quickly click through that slide. All my contact info is right here. Very easy to find. If you just search on Twitter for David Leary or Google David Leary or go to davidleary.com, you can track me down, call me on my phone. Most people have no problems finding that information. So what does AutoEntry do? Essentially, we'll take any of the paper you have. So you're looking at receipts, bills, sales forms. Let's say somebody created all their invoices, their sales invoices in Microsoft Word, for example, and now you got to get those in the accounting system. We can scan and pull those in. We can do bank statements. We can do credit card statements. So any paper that you might have that you want to take financial data from and type into QuickBooks, we can do for you. And eliminate all that data entry. Some things that make us special, so we do line item captures, we can do line item rules, batch uploading, PO matching, and bake fetching. The other thing I think that, for me, I think special about AutoEntry is you can sign up for it. It's the pricing model. So a lot of apps, let's say the app's $50 a month, and you have to make a decision for client A, client B, client C. Well, it's okay for these 5 clients, but not my other 40 clients, because they just can't afford $60 a month. So with AutoEntry, you basically sign up for your firm, and you put all your clients on it, and it's really volume-based. So let's say you have a client that only has 3 or 4 receipts a month. That's fine. Take advantage of the technology. Maybe you have another client that's seasonal, and every 3 months they come in, and they have a big old box of paperwork, or they have a bunch of scans, or whatever it is, right? It's volume-based, and these credits roll over for 3 months. So maybe you don't have a lot of volume 1 month. You don't have to cancel your plan, because maybe you have to onboard a client the following month, but you'll still have those credits from the month before to use on the next month with your client. So the pricing model is really, really flexible, and allows you to use technology and take advantage of it across your entire client base instead of picking and choosing which clients get to have some technical advantages. And we go to the next thing. It's a little background on AutoEntry. AutoEntry started in 2012. Prior to that, it was actually a different company name, and it was more of a desktop software package. And since then, it's been growing like crazy. Now there's a started in Dublin, Ireland, office in London, office in Melbourne, and now the U.S. office is in Tucson, Arizona. This slide's a little bit out of date already. There's over 100,000 small businesses on the platform now, and about 2,200 accountants and bookkeeping firms that are on the product. And as you can see, people love us. We have high reviews, and we've won some awards. And we probably should update that now. We've been on desktop time. I should put that on as well. Here's the contact information, and it's time for demo. So let me change screens here and get out of PowerPoint. That's enough PowerPoint. Okay, and while this is logging in here, just a little bit of background. So recently, I know Chris mentioned president of my own company now, Sombrero Apps Company. And, I started my new company, and finally I have real QuickBooks, and I have a real bank account and a real debit card, and I bought something on a debit card, and then it downloaded the bank feeds, and the receipt, the bill came in through email, and I sent the email to AutoEntry, and AutoEntry took the bill and it shoved it into QuickBooks, and then in QuickBooks it matched the transaction. And I'm jumping up and down in my kitchen, and I'm like, this stuff really works. It's kind of amazing, because up to this point in my career at Intuit, everything's been in theory. I was in tech support, so you're just doing fake transactions in tech support. Then I was in quality assurance. You're doing fake transactions there. Then I'm working in product development and marketing, and then I was involved in the developer team with everybody's apps, and all that was fake transactions. So to have like a real transaction for my real company kind of moved through the whole cycle, and it auto-matched inside of QuickBooks Online was kind of a pretty momentous event for me. And so hopefully you all are appreciate that, because I was thinking a lot of people don't. And so I thought that was really cool to see something, a real transaction, go through the whole system that I've been preaching about for years and years and years. So I logged into AutoEntry, and now I'm going into my real AutoEntry for my real company. And so I'm going to kind of demo from here to, now it is connected to QuickBooks Online, and we will, I promise, get into desktop. I just think it's easier to show it from a real perspective instead of fake data. And I'm signed up as what a small business owner would see. They would just see their company. If I was an accountant, I would see all my clients listed here. So anytime you go into AutoEntry, you're going to get kind of what I would say are the 5 folders, right? So we have bills, and so bills is going to be where you have your any of your accounts payable is going to go here, and then any company expenses. So any receipts that were done on the debit card, maybe there's a company credit card, those are all going to be really your bills and purchases. Vendor statements is kind of an assister to that, as far as it's really going to be a use case vendor statements for like restaurants. So maybe you have a restaurant, they get 100 bills every month, then once a month they get that vendor statement. You upload the vendor statement, and we'll reconcile that against all the bills that have been uploaded. And if anything's missing, you can either call your client, find the missing bill, get it uploaded, or you could actually have AutoEntry create the missing bills so you can send them over to QuickBooks from there. Sales invoices I talked about just briefly. This is really where you're going to be, it's any of your sales that you have that for some reason people have created in creative ways. They've used Microsoft Excel to create their sales. They've created their sales in Microsoft Word. I just saw Canva has I don't know if any of you use Canva, which is to make fancy little images. Canva has an invoice template. So if they're creating their invoices in some other way and you need to get that into the accounting system, you can scan those in and upload them to that folder. We do bank statements, and we do also do credit card statements, and we actually also fetch those as well now, as we can do that. And then expense reports is the last folder, and this is really going to be for reimbursable expenses. So you have some employees that bought some things on their personal credit cards. You need to reimburse them. Maybe the owner's spouse bought something. Maybe the owner did some traveling and booked a plane ticket on his own personal credit card and needs to be reimbursed. So what the expense reports is, it's a way for you to approve a submitted expense report, send it over to QuickBooks as a bill so you can pay that reimbursement. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles and controls of a, let's say, an Expensify product, right, where you have 20 employees and they're traveling all the time. You need to set budgets and controls and instant reimbursable mints. None of those bells and whistles are there. But if you have a client that's just the right size, they travel, they go to one conference a year, you don't need to put them on another app. You can just use AutoEntry to handle that use case. And so what I'm going to jump in really for demo purposes. I'm going to really jump into the bills and the bank statements, and the rest of these we can kind of just peek at briefly as we go along here. And so I'm clicking on bills, and everything goes slower when I do a webinar, and I still haven't figured out why. I'm starting to think it's my computer. There we go, perfect. So this is the main view you would get when you go into any of those folders, right? And so this screen here has all the documents that I've uploaded into my AutoEntry instance. And I'm going to go to my activity tab, because there I can see how I've uploaded them and just kind of show you the different ways I've gotten some of these receipts and or bills uploaded. So my favorite is email. I tend to send everything in. I get a lot of subscriptions, for example. Maybe I signed up for, or maybe I ran a Facebook ad. So my Facebook receipt comes in an email, I forward that to AutoEntry, and then AutoEntry shoves that into my QuickBooks. So I tend to use my email address a lot at AutoEntry to move my stuff in. Sometimes I use the mobile app to bring things in. Other times I actually just upload it right in here in the browser. Because, for example, there's an app that doesn't send an invoice or does not send an email of the invoice, and I have to go to the website every month and download the PDF, and then I have to manually upload that. And so there's different ways to get these docs in here, and it's very easy to see that here as well. And let me switch back over to the inbox. So the inbox is really everything that's been processed and OCR'd and ready for you to review and send over to the accounting system. Right now, I have some things I have not sent, and I will send these over. But before I do that, I just want to talk about kind of the status here. So you'll see some of these don't have a green check mark, has not been sent. Other of them have a green check mark, and that's just, it's been sent, and it's very clear it's been sent to QuickBooks Online. It's what the accounting system it's been sent to. will be listed very clearly. Some of them have a lightning bolt. So the lightning bolts are ones that are set up for auto-publish. And so I don't want to have to ever deal with a bill and type it into QuickBooks. So this bill comes in my email box. I forward it to AutoEntry. AutoEntry recognizes it. AutoEntry puts it into QuickBooks automatically for me, and I never touch it. I don't do any work in any way, shape, or form. And then the other status in here is, there should be a red status if I scroll down. So who knows why? Sometime in mid-January, it could have been I was on a webinar. I uploaded something twice, and AutoEntry detected it, and it's letting me know that. And I have the option, I could send it to QuickBooks again anyways, but it recognizes that I actually upload the exact same thing twice. And so that's a warning there. So the statuses and everything you can see is very, very clear on all of your documents. And one of the other thing that's great is from this view, it kind of feels like a spreadsheet. So it's very quick for you to categorize and put accounts on things that are, if anything is ever missing. Now mine, these are some transactions I've done before. These are the ones that were recognized. It pulled in these names from my QuickBooks Online and my accounts from my QuickBooks Online, and these are all here, so I don't need to add anything. A lot of people like to work from the table view. Occasionally, maybe you don't want to work from the table view and you actually have to look at the receipt a little more in depth. So in that case, you can click the AutoEntry I. And this is going to give you a view probably similar you've seen to a lot of document capture type things. You have the receipt on one side, and then on the left side you have the fields that you want to fill in. This one's actually already filled in because it already had everything detected. I don't need to change anything. And for this, I'm just going to, from this UI, hit Publish and Next. And then I'm just going to go back to my list. And that was my charge for review, and it should show it that it's publishing, and hopefully with a little luck, QuickBooks Online's fast today, and it'll show that it's been published. Yeah, it's a review, and it's been published to QuickBooks Online. So I'm too quickly scanning. It looks like obviously I made a mistake, and I put a receipt in here twice, the exact same one. So I don't think I want to have that go to my QuickBooks twice, so I'm going to actually reject one of these. I'm going to do Actions, and I'm going to do Reject this, and upload it twice. And so now that one's out of the way and it's no longer there. And so before I send this PyBird receipt over, I'm just going to flip to QuickBooks really fast. And as you see, the bank download's here. It's not matched. And I'm going to flip back over to QuickBooks. I'm going to flip back over to AutoEntry. And I'm going to send that PyBird. And while I'm at it, I'm going to send this Twitter one as well. And those are on their way over there. And while they're over there, I'm going to go back into QuickBooks Online and just show the review. So accounting, chart of accounts. I'm going to go to my credit card where that review one was at. Register. And you'll see that this transaction for review has been entered into my QuickBooks. And if I edit the transaction, I did hit the edit button, correct? There it goes. Got it. As you see, it's all been entered in. It's put to where I need it to go, to the correct expense account, has the description, the amount, and it uploads the PDF. Now, on QuickBooks Desktop, unfortunately, because of a limitation of QuickBooks Desktop's APIs, we can't upload the PDF to the actual transaction itself. You could always download that separately and upload it if you need to, and actually my PDF opened up on my other computer screen here, so let me move this over. And as you can see, the attachment is right here that was downloaded. So that way your source docs do get into your accounting system as well. And I'm going to go back out of the expense and get back to the banking screen here. And hopefully during that time, you'll see that one record's found. So it's matched this transaction that got sent over from AutoEntry to the bank feed. And I'm done. I just hit match, and now my bookkeeping's done. Loosely, I kind of joke that I only do my bookkeeping during webinars now. I just tend to leave all my stuff open, and when I do a webinar, I take care of it, and now my bookkeeping's been done. So that's the gist of it. So any receipts that come through, or bills that come through, or receipt that are for the company accounts, so the bank accounts, company credit cards, I run all those through AutoEntry and it shoves them into QuickBooks for me. Let me flip back to the home screen. And then we'll talk about, I know Joanne talked about bank statements a little bit and how much time that saved her. So I'm going to click over to bank statements here and trying to be very conscious of the time. I promised William I try to get him by 1:35, so it might be like 1:37 we'll get you, William. So we do fetching of bank statements, and as you can see down below, before we did fetching, I uploaded my own bank statements, and it's very obvious I messed up and the page was missing. And so AutoEntry, if you do have a situation where you manually upload the bank statements, it's very clear for you to figure out, you know, maybe it's a big write-up job and maybe they give you the bank statements out of order, right? It's very clear to say, hey, there's a gap here in these bank statements. It's very easy to see, and you can work from there to get your other ones. I have fetching now set up, so my account is just downloaded automatically, and every month this number goes up, the number of files, and these are all OCR ready to go. Now, because the bank feeds, I'm not doing any write-up work, I don't necessarily need to send my transactions over. But one thing that is cool for AutoEntry, and this is where I said, Joanne, I might blow your mind a little bit, this is only for QuickBooks Online, it's not for anything else. You can actually fast code transactions. So traditionally, yes, you can upload the bank statements and get any of the file formats you need to import in to QuickBooks Desktop, either your QBO file, the .QBO file, or CSV, right? You can bring those into QuickBooks Desktop that way. For those of you that might have some clients on QuickBooks Online, you're doing some write-up work, you can actually do what is called as fast code. And so what fast coding is going to do, it's going to let you code all those up right here in AutoEntry and then quickly send them over. So for example, you could recommended ways just to sort on the details. And let's scroll down and find something. I do run a lot of things through credit cards, so I don't have a lot going through here. Let's see if there's a good chunk. So let's just say all these had the same, just for illustration purposes, all these had these were all Zapier, for example, right? I could easily just quickly check mark all of them or do a shift click and check multiple rows like you would in a spreadsheet. And I can quickly just code these to Zapier. And it's going to fill that in on the whole thing. Same with the category. Maybe I wanted to do it to services, even though it's not true. It instantly categorizes it. So you could quickly take a whole stack of bank statements and code these, and then send these right over to the accounting system. Now, I'm not going to send these, like I said before, because this is just bank statements that I already have recorded in my accounting system. So I'm going to be careful and uncheck all of those.
I like that.
And then the last thing I'll jump in and show is I'm just going to quickly show an expense report, and how that kind of flows through the system here. All right, so I had to buy some airplane tickets on Priceline and hotel, and so that's in here. But I want to show actually once it's been approved. So let me go to the actual reports, because that's one I have not submitted yet. And I always remember I have to go to all statuses. Okay, so I have for example, this expense report right here. I'm going to view it. And there's a $25 expense report for travel. And if I drill down one more time to do it, it'll have that actual expense report, right? The transaction here. So now in the QuickBooks side, though, what happens when it sends that over as a bill, expenses, vendors, find myself, because I'm set up as a bill in for me. If the scrolling works here, there I am. And we'll go to that transaction. And so this bill was put in by AutoEntry for the reimbursable. And what it does, it actually uploads two things, which is nice. You get the actual expense report uploaded. It's so fast when you're doing a demo.
Yeah.
There you go. You actually get the expense report uploaded, and you get the source receipts uploaded. So you have a nice attached package to the actual bill before you do that reimbursement out. And so that's kind of the gist of that. I'm going to quickly.
There was two questions, David, before you move on to desktop that I saw in the webinar chat. The first question, and I think this has to do more with on the invoice side of things. Is there an ability to code to a specific product and service.
Yes. So we can do line items, and let me
Okay.
switch out of here, and I have a fake client company I can open up here. So I know I can't have everything in my real company. I just don't have any needs for line items
Yeah.
in my own company. But let me go into this other company, and actually a couple of good examples of that. Okay, go into the fake clients. And so my clients here, I have, now this is a sales invoice, right? But this is actually from Microsoft Word. Actually, I think this one here, this Jane Good client, this is actually not from Microsoft Word. This is actually, I think, PC Law.
Okay.
So, you might have a customer using a legacy software package. You can't integrate with anything.
Mhm.
Right? And you can actually take those paper documents, like the sample invoice, you can scan that over to us, and it'll do all the line items.
Okay. Gita, does that answer your question? Because she followed up with a product and services in table view question mark. I'm not sure what
I think
she means.
hopefully, probably line items, I'm assuming. But yes, you can track down your line items to your categories and classes. If you
No, when we enter bills and checks, when do you?
Yes, and on the enter bill side as well, yes.
Yes, and then the other question on the bill, the check side is there a place to enter a memo such as who we had lunch with and why? So in other words, maybe for, like for example, when you brought over your meals and entertainment transaction, is there a place in AutoEntry that you can put a memo field before you send it to QuickBooks?
Yes. So they can, you can put, our mobile app lashed out a little bit, and we have a new version of the mobile app coming out, but you can put those in actually on the transactions themselves.
Awesome.
Let me pull up one of these guys. I think this is a restaurant receipt, but you can, yeah, you can put in description. Additional description if you want. You can put your reference numbers that you want, and then you can add that additional information over.
Okay. Awesome. Hopefully that answered the 2 questions that were out there.
Yeah, and so you can track down your line items. You can track those down to your, you can track those to customer jobs and classes.
Okay.
To that detail level. And then any of these you can actually even memorize for next time, like, hey, it's this vendor name or it's this class, right? But you can also even take it a step further, which is like, hey, this is, I want this to be auto-published from that point forward.
So follow-up question just from Joanne, because I'm looking at this for myself. I'm taking advantage of the fact that I have you on this panel here. When it comes to, the big thing for me when it comes to like QuickBooks Online with the document management is I do like the fact that obviously it brings, like you say, it attaches the PDF into QBO. Is there a place in AutoEntry where all of the documents are saved so that they can easily be removed from the platform if there is no longer a use for AutoEntry, say the business goes out of business?
Like a mass download everything at once?
So in other words, if somebody leaves QBO because their business shuts down, theoretically they would have to go in and download each individual PDF for all the years to be able to get access to their documents again.
That I don't know offhand. Hey, William, do you know offhand if we can do a mass download, or is it just one transaction at a time?
Technically, if you're actually wanting to have the actual picture with it, you have to do it one at a time. If you're actually just wanting, like, the invoice number and everything in setup, you can actually download everything as an Excel file as well.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about actually having your documentation for taxes. Like, so if a business, in other words, a business is in business for 2-3 years and then they end up going, stopping their business and they no longer need QuickBooks, they no longer need AutoEntry. To me, one of the issues is being able to make sure they still have these PDFs in an organized fashion for them to be able to keep, for the future.
Yeah, and so something we can't do now, but what the things we've been talking about is like looking at like things like Zapier or an integration like that, to where now we're connected to something like a Smart Vault or Dropbox.
Yeah, because currently what I do is, because I haven't ever been introduced to AutoEntry, so this is the first time I'm seeing it, but currently what I do for a few of my clients is I have them trained to send everything to like either send it to Evernote, like if they use Evernote, because Evernote has that OCR ability to be able to search for anything to find something really easy, or like box.com, or wherever, just making sure that everything is in one place so that it becomes easy for them to find if they ever need to find it in the future. It just seems like that's kind of like the only solution, really, because otherwise if you end up leaving QBO, you don't really have your documents.
Yeah, you don't have your documents. Now, with AutoEntry, we do have a way for you to pause the subscription, right? And you can pay a little less each month with your prescription just kind of on your on pause. That's a possibility. But yeah, that's definitely, because I've been kicking around ideas on like what are the best use cases for a Zapier, or reasons to have integrations with things like OneDrive or a Box or a Google Drive. And like I think that's a very logical reason. Like just every single time, no matter what, just take the image. As soon as I upload to QuickBooks, that's fine, send to QuickBooks, but just put in this other folder, just an archive folder. Just put it out there. I have another copy of it, a secondary copy for whatever reasons. You just have it available. No, it's a totally valid use case. We just can't handle it at this time.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Hey, William, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and give a chance for you to share yours.
I haven't gone away, by the way. I'm just here golfing. You guys are doing such a great job.
And then, so I think, William, maybe the best place to start is probably the big difference in QuickBooks Online, right, versus QuickBooks Desktop is with QuickBooks Online, you as the end user don't have to install anything to your computer. But with QuickBooks Desktop, you have to install the sync agent. Right, and that's true for a lot of apps. If you guys are using QuickBooks Desktop, almost every app, if it's not using the web connector provided by Intuit, you have to use the sync agent, right? And I'll let William kind of talk through that a little bit and show that. If you would, William, that'd be great. William, you might be on mute.
Yeah, we're not hearing you, William.
All right, how about now?
That's better.
All right, perfect. Okay, so like you were saying, we actually do have options for desktop abilities. Sage 50, it's not going to be something we're going to probably see here in the US. I know that we're working on Sage 50 for Canada, which is another version of something that's going to be a desktop. But in this case, the QuickBooks Desktop, because of it's actually storing files on your computer, the Sync app, what it does is it allows the website to actually talk directly to the files and actually be able to, go back and forth to update, etc. So pretty much the basic things with this, you click there, it's going to say, go to the desktop software. If you wanted more information on what the app does, you can go here. Myself, I already have it actually installed. And what this is when you actually log in to AutoEntry, it's going to give you a list of all the companies you've created. And so in this case, it'll only actually show you the ones that are going to be connected with the desktop. It's not going to show you all the ones that have already been connected to QuickBooks Online. So primarily, you would actually use this connect button. But before that, it's actually really easy and quick. You want to actually always make sure that QuickBooks is open to the company you're wanting to connect in the first place. One of the easiest ways to actually do this is if you actually have QuickBooks open, you could actually just hit F2 on the keyboard, and it's going to actually come up with this product information, which the biggest thing you're wanting here is this location right here. And what you want to do is go ahead and copy this, go ahead and actually click OK, because that actually, if you leave it open, can cause a problem when you're trying to connect, because something else actually needs to come up in its place. So in actually thinking about that, let me go ahead and make sure that I have that removed so you'll be able to see exactly what it's going to look like. All right, perfect. All right, so we come back to the AutoEntry Desktop Sync app. We're going to go connect. Make sure first, of course, switch this on over to QuickBooks Desktop. And it's going to ask for just the folder path. Now, if you actually have it in like a shared folder position, or you actually have it on a server, you're going to want to be able to actually see it over here. Right now, it can only see my C drive. If you're actually having like a shared folders, if you don't see it immediately over here, you may want to talk to your RT people and actually allow the program to actually have rights to see, to read, write, modify these paths. So in this case, since we already know what it is, we just actually, copy it directly in there, hit tab to go out, and you'll see this actually goes to a darker blue, which actually allows you to connect. And so right now it's actually communicating with QuickBooks. I don't know if you see it down here, but this actually just turned orange and started flashing, which means something popped up here. So you're always going to get this certificate. It's going to ask you, do you want to actually let us be able to communicate back and forth on your computer? You can choose whichever one you want on this, depending on how you want to actually have it set up, but I always recommend this one because it actually will allow you to not always have QuickBooks open to be able to actually, send anything over that you're publishing directly to the folders. So click continue on there. It's going to, pretty much just give you an update. This is exactly what you're wanting to do. Confirm it, click done, and then this will update. And as you see right now, it actually gives you, it's connected to desktop, and this is where it's directly connected to, as well as you go to the, let's see, go back to that. And in the integrate button, you'll actually now see something, oh, I apologize, may not actually have it connected to the right one. So, but this would actually look a little bit different. It'll actually just actually say it's connected to desktop. And on the right side, you'll actually see something over here that actually says, do you want to add any payment accounts? So for that kind of stuff, you'll be able to come here.
Okay, so you're an AutoEntry company A, but you just an accident connected.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, right.
I just actually did the wrong one.
Got it, okay. Got it.
So pretty much that's pretty much the basic of how it sets up. Like I was saying, you can connect with servers, with shared folders. You would just actually have to have your IT person give rights to the software in order to be able to actually read write to that location. And that's pretty much it. So I'm pretty sure, unless there's actually any other questions, I'll give it back to David, let him handle it from here.
Yeah, I think we're kind of running low on time, so I'm going to jump into some of the open questions here. Somebody asked about marking expenses as billable. Yes, we can mark expenses as billable. Actually, let me answer that a different way. We only mark expenses as billable. Actually, our problem is we don't have a way for you to mark them as not billable at this time, and it's a huge headache. And I've actually I've beaten up our engineering team about this. Like, the priority is huge. We have to get that fixed. So it's the opposite is the problem. Like, we will send expenses over as billable to the accounting system, which is not the best scenario if you don't want them billable, right? Somebody's asking about downloading mass transactions for audit purposes. One at a time for an auditor would be painful. So good thing is you can actually invite an auditor as a user of your AutoEntry if you want. You can actually invite that third-party auditor in and just give them a view-only view of certain transactions for certain clients inside of AutoEntry. The other thing you can do is you actually export all these transactions out as just a table, but the actual images won't be there. So probably the best thing to do is probably invite that. If you need to, if you're in an audit situation, you can actually invite that auditor into and just give them kind of audit. I'm going to use air quotes here, but auditor view, if you want to call it that, of AutoEntry. And then, does it integrate with QBox? I think I know William said it can, but it's a little bit hard, or it works sometimes. Can you speak to that a little bit, William? Like, where we've had issues with that?
There's been a couple where I've seen it work without a single problem. Really, it all comes down to when the settings were actually done, when the QBox was actually set up. And at the same time, I've seen, like 10 companies on QBox. I've seen 9 of them work, and then one, for some reason, not work. So it's kind of a case-by-case basis. It is something that we've actually been putting some time into trying to find out why exactly it's actually causing that problem and how best to fix it. But I mean, right now, it's one of those situations where we are actually still just working to, to actually, upgrade the sync app, especially with a lot of the how to actually troubleshoot it. So it is something that has been getting worked on, but it's just it's one of those things where QBox, it can work with it, but we have to actually put that out there where it's not going to work 100% of the time, and that's simply because of the coding.
And Chris, could you speak to that a little bit? Just because,
Yeah.
like, I'm not super familiar on the technical details of how QBox works, but I'm imagining this has a lot to do with file permissions and file locking.
Yeah, it mostly has to, so I mean, folks use QBox with a lot of different applications, and not all of them require they have the client installed for the app, which you just described AutoEntry does, and that's okay with us because with QBox, all we're doing, we're downloading our own client as well, but as far as the files go, we're just putting them into a specific folder for syncing purposes, but we're not changing any of the characteristics or any of the inactivity or activity with other apps. So what's most important is that they have your app installed adjacent to the file. And William mentioned this. He selected we want to sync with a file even when it's closed. For us, that's a no-no because in the world of QBox, the file has to be open and it has to be locked in order to transmit the updates to their remote shared users. So we only want them to initiate receiving any updates when the file's open and initiated, and QBox will simultaneously open and lock. So I'm not sure if that's the case here, and just so you know, William, we of course, our engineers would be happy to talk with you if we can help you, research that as well. But that's kind of a fundamental piece for us. Most apps don't sync to a deactivated file, QuickBooks file, but if they do, which they obviously do in the case of AutoEntry, we just require that the QBox user would set it up so it's only syncing when the file is activated. So
that could be it's more of a workaround if you're using QBox because I'm sure like we can't be talking to that file if you're in the middle of updating or syncing it.
That's right.
Break. And so yeah, that would make sense. So yeah, we might have to have a special FAQ or maybe on the QBox side or our side where here's the order of operations in the settings. So that's something we can follow up with after this.
Okay,
for sure.
Perfect. Yeah, but I mean, just so you know, we have folks that use everything under the sun with QBox. All we're doing, again, is putting it in that specific location, and we require the files activated. That's it. So pretty simple stuff.
So that could explain then why we've seen a lot of inconsistency, and it could be that permission setting.
Okay.
That makes sense. So it's looking like it's coming to the top of the hour. I think I'll hand things back off to you, Chris. I don't see any new questions coming in.
Okay. So yeah, well, thank you very much to both you and actually all three of you, to William also and Joanne for joining us today. We'll make some information available for all of them also in the follow-up emails we'll send out tomorrow. Our attendance looks like, again, based on tax season. So those of you that want to watch the recorded version, that'll also be available on the website within the next couple of days. But again, we'll send follow-up information for everyone that joined us today. And again, we thank you, David and William and Joanne, for joining us, and we appreciate your introduction to AutoEntry. And Joanne, as always, you're very welcome, and thank you for your expertise and explaining to us about niche marketing. I always say niche, not niche. I
say it both different ways just to cover my basis.
Okay, I don't know, maybe it's a California thing. It's niche out here. I don't know.
So the official, it is officially niche.
It is, okay.
You have to say niche, especially if you talk to any Canadians or go to the UK. Like I was on stage for 40 minutes saying niche. You know what I was talking about. You have to say niche, but I've compromised. If it's in the plural, you have to say niches because riches are in the niches. So it's niche in the singular, niches in the plural.
Okay, so I learned something. Now I got to go to niche, otherwise I'm going to offend people in other parts of the world. Well, anyways, thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you to all the participants for your questions. And again, if you have any more interest in AutoEntry, we definitely encourage you to visit David. I know he provides some contact information. We'll include that in a follow-up email also as well. But thank you to everyone. Please come back next month. We're going to have Matthew Fulton, I almost blanked, is going to be our guest vendor next month. And we'll also have Mariette Martinez back with us next month. So we're looking forward to April as well. But for the rest of the day, I know you're all very busy, and we appreciate you taking time out to join us today. And thank you again. Have a wonderful rest of your day. First day of spring today. I forgot to mention that. 5 o'clock, I think it starts officially.
5:50, I heard.
5:50, yeah, I think it's official then. So enjoy the rest of your day. Go out and see the beautiful weather. Hopefully it's beautiful wherever you are. And we'll welcome you back next month. And thank you again. Have a great rest of your day.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.